Jake and I only met sort of months ago, really, but and he started talking about some things he was doing and his YouTube channel, and I went, let's do something together. Then I thought, let's make a day of it. So we've ended up making a day of it. So I'm going to hand over to you, Jake. You can tell everybody who you are, what you're doing today.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here. So grateful to share the stage with so many amazing people. And I've been soaking it all in. I am looking forward to doing like the activations and meditations later because I was making sure I was watching to let people in and monitoring the chat. But all right, let's get into it. So, my name is Jake. Like Anne said, I'm from the USA. I live in Minnesota, good old Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hoping to move out of the city soon, but this is home for now. I got my start in quantum healing hypnosis technique. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Dolores Cannon and the work that she's done. And so that's kind of where I got my start and found my way. Via that and hypnosis and past life regression to Anne, and that opened the door to the future. And it was something that had happened spontaneously for me in a few regression sessions where people went into the future. And so it's something that was super fascinating to me. And really, what intrigued me most about the QHHT or the quantum healing hypnosis was that quantum aspect to it. And I love that Marilyn brought in all of that quantum information and talked about that. It really is something that I think we're only beginning to understand. And I think there's just so much more that even our human brains are not fully able to comprehend at this time. But things are shifting, things are changing. All that to say, I think that the other part of what I love quantum hypnosis for is the accessing of hidden information, of knowledge that is long missing or that we haven't discovered yet because it's from the future. And so, one of those pieces that really caught my eye as I was delving into the world of hypnosis and the quantum was my introduction to extraterrestrial lives or aliens. And this was something that I had no prior experience with. I was not open to this. Well, I was open to it to a level, but consciously, I did not believe in that. And so it was something that caught me by surprise, but I couldn't ignore it. And I dug deeper. And so I wanted to share just a bit about one of my sessions that I had. And this was that first ET experience that I had. And this was with one of my practice sessions when I was just getting started in hypnosis. And this woman, she regressed to a lifetime where she was an ET. She described her body as like this bulbous red body. She didn't have a lot of hair. It did not seem like a human body whatsoever. And she was talking about a lot of stuff in that lifetime, but the gist of that culture and that community, that those beings was very much about control, and they were a very warring, conflict focused society. Anyway, she had shared a few different experiences with me about this lifetime and what she was experiencing. And it was so fascinating the way that it tied into her current life and the parallels that we found between her current life, which was much more focused on healing and on peace and on fostering community amongst people, not that control and domination. But there was also this theme in her current life of going against the grain, of going against the mainstream, and she, in that lifetime, had been killed by someone else for not being warlike enough, for not being vicious enough, and that ended up ending that lifetime. So the reason that I bring this up is because it was my first experience into the ET world. And from there, I started reading a bunch. And if you know Dolores Cannon's work, she wrote a lot on UFOs and on ETs, and she did a lot of research into that. Um, but this session really opened my eyes up to the broader cosmos and helped me to see that there's more beyond our human incarnations, and that we're at this point now where we are being called, I believe, to integrate beyond the human experience, beyond what we experience in our human incarnations, starting to pull in those multidimensional lives, starting to pull in those off-world, those lives from other planets, other places, other galaxies, and beyond that, I think going through time, both to the past and to the future, because from that quantum perspective, right, time doesn't exist in the ways that we think about it in our conscious day to day. Um, but I think that from that first experience I've had more. I've had experiences where clients have been light beings on other planets. I've had experiences where they're not individuals; they're these collective soul groups that are working in non-physical realms. I've had even angels and fairies and all of these different beings that are on the fringes of our awareness right now, but are increasingly coming into light. And I wanted to share a few more examples of sessions today because one, think it's fascinating stuff, and I thought that you would enjoy it as well. But also to illustrate the main point of my message today, which is that I think beyond our human incarnations, beyond uh, this human plane that we're on. There's so much more, and I think that the more that we can see that, the more we can work with that, the more hope that we'll find as we move into this new future and into a broader cosmos and a more integrated galaxy than we have at the current time. So I think that that is going to be exciting to you. I also have a bit of information that came through in a session just a few months ago around 2025 and some of the changes that we may or may not see in the coming year. And I believe that we will. Raphael can probably attest to the astrology and the connections to ETs and to the opening of our eyes to what is beyond what we've accepted as reality. So that is to come. And then lastly, I want to guide you all to your own future lifetime, not on Earth, because as I say to my clients all the time, hypnosis is such an individual experience. And especially when we're looking at such a broad thing as the cosmos and other planets and other dimensions, your experience, the future lifetime that you're going to go on to is going to be different than anyone else's. And so I thought that it would be interesting and fun for y'all to take that journey with me. So let's get into it. The first session that I wanted to bring in and talk about, I had a client. We'll call them Tony. They were shown their current lifetime. And those of you who work in past life regression, you'll know that it's very common, especially these days, to get people going to their current lifetime rather than past lives. And there's a lot of theories out there why this is happening. We won't get into that today, but Tony was shown this because their current lifetime was revealed to be their only human incarnation. When we spoke with their higher self, when we spoke with that subconscious part of them, they revealed that they had come directly from Source to incarnate on the planet here, and that not only was this their only lifetime, but they were planning on going back to Source after this lifetime. It was pretty funny. They used the word field trip to describe this lifetime. And this was information that definitely other people have gotten. Dolores Cannon writes a lot about this with her writings about star seeds and stuff. But it was fascinating to talk to the client after this session and to hear that this was real confirmation for them. They were so relieved to know that the feeling of being out of place, of not understanding the ways that humans interact and the ways they treat each other, just not being able to connect as easily as they had hoped or as the people in their life were able to. Um, and so I think that piece, that confirmation piece, really helped Tony to have hope for what was beyond this lifetime. It didn't take away the challenges of this lifetime or the challenges that are yet to come for my client, but it was a moment where they had hope for something beyond and had hope for what was coming and really felt a sense of peace from that information that came through. And I've certainly had other clients be shown similar situations or similar places. Um, there's lots of different experiences that can come through when we're working in hypnosis, whether that's regression or progression, and the non-physical worlds and the experiences and situations that clients are shown around energy. And oftentimes, when they're shown these types of places, whether it be source or oftentimes I've heard from higher selves that it's another sort of home. It's a non-physical realm. It's a someplace far away that at least in our sense that they come from, that they hearken from. And these places are oftentimes places where not only are they seeing light, they're seeing colors. Oftentimes, the visuals can come through in a variety of ways for folks. But I've also had many clients talking about the love that they feel in these places, the harmony, the sense of peace, and the oneness. And so I think that this is one aspect or one way that many souls I think are going to go once they're done on this human plane. And I think that it's a very real possibility for a lot of souls to go either back to source, because Tony was not alone in coming in this way to raise the frequency here on Earth. But also there's so many other realms and existences and ways that life is expressed out in the cosmos. And so I think that this sense of hope is super important for people right now, because when we look out at the broader world, I think we can see both things getting much better in a lot of ways, and people realizing things and changing and choosing love over divisiveness. But then we also see a lot of the old crumbling down, right? And so I saw a meme recently where it was like someone with their eyes looking two different ways, and it was like looking at the world both getting better and getting worse at the same time. And so I think that especially for folks who come to this type of experience, who are looking for um, help, whether that be through regression or progression. They're looking for help. They're looking for hope. And I think that when we look beyond human incarnations, I think we can find such beautiful context for soul growth and evolution, but also finding that hope. And I think especially for those folks who are on um, are on more of a spiritual path, who are choosing, to work on themselves. I think oftentimes I hear that they have this inner sense that this is their last incarnation, or that they feel like they're wrapping things up. They feel like there's karma being reconciled, and that they're moving on to something else next. And I think especially for those folks who have that deep knowing, this could be a very real possibility. Um, so yeah, super fascinating case study, and like I said, I've had other folks who have had similar experiences shown. Obviously, I can't bring in all of my case studies for today, but I wanted to share that one. And the next session that I wanted to share was a quite a surprise to me, and was really cool. So I had this was a future life progression session that I had, and I brought this client to their future lifetime to get a glimpse beyond this human incarnation, to see what was going on. And to both our surprises, they found themselves in the body of an angel. And this was, again, not something that I was necessarily looking for, or something that the client even had like an awareness of. Some people are very attuned to angelic energy. They're very into angels. This was not the case with this client. And so it was fascinating to have this come through. What was even more fascinating about this was all of the information that came through about what this being was doing. They did have wings, and they were in sort of a cloud city of types, and they described the clouds forming into buildings with their thoughts. And They were talking about the work that they, along with the other beings of their kind, were doing in that place. They were transmuting energies from higher dimensions down into the lower dimensions. And I was curious to know where they were, and uh, come to find out that they were above Earth, whether that be in a literal physical sense or whether that's more of that dimensional proximity to Earth. But they were working with the Earth and using their abilities to transmute that energy up from the higher dimensions down into a usable format for the Earth. Which was in a little bit of a state. So this is quite a bit into the future, and this client, Connor, described the Earth as being kind of cracked and dry. It was volcanic, very destroyed, kind of apocalyptic scene. And there were not very many beings left on the planet, but what they were doing, what these angels were doing, was working on helping the Earth to heal and helping the Earth to rebalance energies that had gone out of balance. And the key piece of this story was that in amongst that setting, doing that really, really important work that, in my mind, had a lot of gravity to it. I mean, that seems like a lot of responsibility, right? Transmuting those energies. Connor still had a moment where he shared with me and about the joy that he had playing with his horse and playing in amongst the light, and that uh, it was just even more than him describing the feeling, the look on his face, the energy that I could feel coming off of him. It was really, really beautiful to see. And again, that is that hope that's peeking through in amongst what could, for some, look like a more negative future. Remembering that there's so many different timelines out there, and there's so many different ways that our reality can move into the future, and beyond that, there's so many dimensional experiences out there too, and so many different dimensional realities as well. And so I think that it's just fascinating when we have such information coming through, and then to see how there's still hope and there's still joy even in that sort of a setting. All right, the third that I really wanted to share with y'all, I'll share this briefly, was this was a client who did go into a future lifetime as a human, but they were not living on Earth at this time. They had a job on this huge spaceship. They described it being almost like a city that was um, floating through space. And their job on this, they were a scientist who worked with ecology and sort of environmental ecosystem work. And this was because on the ship they had everything, including sorts of ecosystems where they had plants and animals, and this allowed for a variety of uses and such. Um, what was super fascinating as well was that when we dropped into this future lifetime, this client was actually on one of the moons of Saturn doing some research, and they found themselves in this large dome observatory, and that they were there for a limited time, a couple of years, doing special research. And it was very, very fascinating to get a glimpse at what that sort of a life would be. One of my favorite parts was her describing seeing the rings of Saturn up in the sky and how cool that the sky looked from that vantage point. And it was fascinating because we really didn't get a whole lot of information about Earth, and that was because she did not live there. Most of her time was spent on those ships. But what she said was Earth had this sort of it sounded like nanotechnology, nano drone, kind of a field over the Earth that regulated the climate and regulated the weather patterns and stuff like that. And it was very fascinating to hear all of this insight into it. And one of my favorite things that she said during the session was that it feels almost like a different dimension. She described feeling like she was going backwards while we were guiding her to this lifetime, even though it was a future lifetime, and she felt like it was in a different dimension, or there was some dimensional level to it. And I think, again, that helps to illustrate that point that there's just so much out there beyond our human incarnations, beyond this earth. And I think that it's just so fascinating when this information comes through. Now, the ties to this client's current life, she was shown this lifetime as a scientist, and I think that in her current life, she's in teaching, and she has sorts of lots of she came with a lot of questions around her career and what could be next for her. And it was fascinating because she didn't specifically say, I want to be a scientist, but when we talked about it afterwards, that was a piece of it because science is what she teaches. And so it was a fascinating instance of showing that broader context for the soul's evolution and how there's still those themes that you're practicing in your future lifetimes, and that whether you're struggling with hope now here in a career aspect or in the broader sense of the world or in your relationships, looking at these more out there lifetimes, whether in the past or the future, can help you to find that hope and find that spark. And I think is why this is such important work, and why I wanted to bring this topic of ETs and of off-world incarnations here, because I really don't think a lot of people talk about this. It's certainly something that I've heard people experience in their practices with their clients, but I think that the more that we talk about this, I think the more that people's minds and hearts get open to the reality of life beyond, and allows them to open that door to even broader soul healing, integrating those lifetimes from other dimensions, from other planets, from other places in the cosmos. So, uh, hopefully that all makes sense. When I was meditating about this topic and trying to gain a little insight into how I wanted to approach this, the message that came in immediately was hope. And I think that it's so easy to lose hope, especially if you're tied up in what the TVs and the social medias and all of the information that's out there. It's being tuned and adjusted, and it's deliberately trying to take that hope from us. The more we can tune that out and I think open ourselves to the broader cosmos and insight from beyond, I think that it's just going to help a lot. Um, Let me just check my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, yes. So, what I wanted to share around 2025 and what came through in this session. So, it was very fascinating. If you aren't familiar with Dolores Cannon's work, one of the mainstays of QHHT and how I work with my practice is communicating and working with the higher self, working with that subconscious. And so, tapping into that higher self, information can be accessed beyond. And this was very much a surprise to me, but even more so a surprise to my client because they literally had no conscious idea about ETs. It was not a topic that they were interested in. It was not something that they had even done any sort of research into. And so that was a fascinating piece of this because we had a good time talking about it after the session. But kind of randomly throughout the in the session when we were talking with their higher self, the information came through that in the year 2025, this year that we just moved into, that the ETs that are among us are going to be revealed, and beyond that, they're going to return to their home. And when this started to come out, I did my due diligence of asking some questions, trying to get some clarity around this. And they said that these ETs are ETs that are in their form. So it's not souls like Tony who had incarnated from elsewhere and come, from somewhere else. These were beings that were in their form here on this planet. And beyond that, they said that they're going to return home because tasks, whatever they came here to do, is complete. And it was my favorite quote that they said. They said, this world is not a pleasant experience for most beings." And we both had a little chuckle about that after the session because I think even a lot of us humans can admit that this is a challenging place to be, but especially for those beings who are not incarnated into human form, it sounds like it's a challenge. So if you want to hear more about this or hear the full clip of that session, you can check out my YouTube. I'll make sure that Anne shares that with my video because I shared that full audio clip so that you all can listen to it and give my full breakdown. But I think that the big message that came through and kind of their final message with that was not to be afraid, not to be afraid of the coming changes, not to be afraid of this reveal. And the more that I think we stay out of that fear frequency, stay in the love, stay in the higher vibrations, I think it's just a better way to be, and I think allows us to move into this future with so much more grace and I think will allow these changes to happen as smoothly as possible. I think there's going to be a little bit of disruption. I think there's going to be couple more bumps in the road before we get there, but I think this big message of not being afraid is really important. So beyond that, just to reiterate, I think the more that we can be open to integrating all lifetimes from all different dimensions, all different experiences, I think it allows us to grow the most full that we can and to do the most work with our soul in this lifetime and facilitate this shift into the future that I think we're all eagerly awaiting. So I'm excited to see how these big changes play out. It'll be interesting to see what happens and how it happens, but especially listening to Raf talk about the astrology of the coming year, and I've definitely listened to a lot of other folks talking about it too. I think there's a lot in there that is hinting at some of these huge shifts and changes in the ways that we view the world. So I hope that you enjoyed that. We are right about at 12, so I'm doing great on time. Uh, I'm going to shift into the meditation at this point. So if you all want to make yourself comfortable, you can turn your camera off if you would prefer, lie down, or just close your eyes. And as you settle in to this relaxed state, focusing on your breathing, settling in, relaxing, feeling your breath slowing down as you're relaxing into this moment. Now, imagine a wave of relaxation starting at the top of your head, manifesting as a white light, bright, glistening. Really see that light up at the top of your head, beginning to move down your body, relaxing the muscles as it goes, the muscles in your face, your neck, shoulders, down your arms and your fingers, relaxing down your body, relaxing all of those muscles in your shoulders, relaxing the muscles in your chest and your back, white light moving down into your belly, relaxing those muscles, moving down, relaxing your hips and your legs, all the way down to your feet. You can feel any tensions leaving your body, flowing right out. Now, imagine yourself on the beach at night. Beautiful soft sand below you. You can feel it between your toes. Hear the sound of the waves, the smell of the air. Feeling that peace, that calm as you relax more and more. Now, look up at the sky, a beautiful night sky above you, filled with all the stars, the moon, all that beautiful cosmic light coming down, glistening up above you. You can really feel that harmony with the universe, the peace that you feel here. Now, as you look up, you see a particularly bright, flashing star above you. And as you're watching that particular star, it begins to move down towards you. And as it's getting closer and closer, drifting down through that night sky, you notice that it's not a star at all, but a beautiful glowing object. And as it settles near you, you know that this is a vehicle that's come to take you into the future. This vehicle will allow you to get a glimpse beyond your incarnations here on the Earth's physical plane. You know that this time machine will take you to your next lifetime as someone or something other than human. This will be the most appropriate future for you to know about now at this time. Now that vehicle is settled down in front of you and you see a door open on the side of the craft. And as you step in, you notice beautiful, soft cushions, comfortable, as well as a beautiful, soft golden light filling up this space. A light of protection, a light of unconditional love. And you feel so protected in this craft. Now the door closes, feeling safe and secure inside, nestled amongst those cushions. The machine begins to rise up into the air, rising up, 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 now moving forward and forward and forward. You can feel this craft moving and carrying you into the future, to your future lifetime, beyond your human incarnations, beyond this earth. And the time machine begins to slow down, and you know that you are arriving at that future lifetime. And slowing down and begins to descend. You feel yourself arriving as this vehicle slows and floats down and down and down. And as it stops, you know that you are here. You are in that future lifetime, the one that is most appropriate for you at this time. Now, the door opens and you step out into this future lifetime. Remember that the information will flow towards you. The knowledge will come to you in whatever way is best, whether that be a visual sense of knowing, maybe an emotion, however it comes, just allow that information to flow. Allow it to give you insight and knowledge. Now, as you connect to this lifetime, I'll give you a moment to connect. Just start to get a sense to your form, what shape you take. Right. Do you have a form or a body? If you are in a form, just begin to get a sense as to your appearance. Are you physical? Maybe non-physical? Just get a sense as to your form and your appearance. And if you find that you do not have a form, just get a sense of your surroundings. Start to tune into what's around you. Start to notice, get a sense as to where you are and how you're feeling. What sense do you get of your surroundings? As we explore your form and what you look like, do you get a sense as to any gender or sex? Do you feel masculine, feminine, neither, something else? Just start to get a sense. What do you look like? What shape is your form? Are you humanoid or something else? Just start to get a sense as to what you look like. Let that knowledge flow to you. Are you wearing anything? Is your form covered by anything? Get a sense as to what that looks like. What colors and textures do you notice? What kind of material is it? Does it have a purpose? What is that purpose? Now, as we move beyond your form, begin to get a sense of your surroundings. What do you notice around you? Are you inside or outside? What do you notice? What do you see? What are you feeling? Now, if you're outside, do you see any buildings around? What are they like? Are there any structures or shapes that you see out there around you? What about plants or animals? Do you notice any other beings around you? And if you're inside, what kind of space is it? Does it feel large or small? Do you notice anything else in the room with you? Are there any objects or furniture? If anything stands out to you, what do you notice about it? Does it have a purpose? Just allow that information to flow. Now, what else are you noticing about your surroundings? What else are you noticing around you? Just getting a sense as to what's around you. Are there any other beings there with you? What do they look like? If there are beings around you, what are they to you? Do you have a relationship? Do you know them? Do you recognize them? Let's get a sense as to what they might be doing. What do you see around you? Really tuning into your community here. Get a sense as to whether you have a partner or family. What do your personal relationships look like? How do you connect with them? Where do you connect with them? What is your community like? How does this community make you feel? Are there any emotions coming up when you think about this community? Get a sense as to how you communicate with each other. How do you interact? Now beginning to tune in to you and your role in this community. What is your role? What do you do with your time? What are the responsibilities or duties that you have? Let's get a sense. Beyond your role or responsibilities, how do you spend your leisure time? What do you do for fun or to bring joy? Let's get a sense as to what brings joy to your life. Now tuning in, getting a sense of your greatest achievement in this lifetime. What are you most proud of in this life? Just getting a sense as to any significant events or any big situations that come up to you from this life. What stands out? Take a moment to connect with these moments and any feelings that may come along. All right. Now get a sense of what year it is. Can you get a sense as to how far into the future you feel you've traveled? Don't worry too much about the answer. Just let the information flow if it's appropriate. How far have you traveled? Now get a sense, if you can, of the location where you are in the cosmos. This could be a physical, it could also be dimensional. Allowing yourself to just tune into the energies of this place and where it is in relation to planet Earth. Just allowing that information to flow. All right. Now tuning back into this future version of you, this future lifetime. Take a moment to allow any final information, any messages, any wisdom or advice from this future you to flow to you. connecting to any final information from this place before we return. Now, with much thanks for the information that we were given today, return to that vehicle, that time machine, back through the door, settling back into the soft, comfortable cushions in that golden light. The door closes, and we are now allowing the craft to return us to the present time and place, feeling the craft move as it carries you back to the present, gently floating back to the present day and time as I count from 5 to 1. 5, leaving that future you to continue on their own journey, thanking them for the information and the experience today. 4, returning with the appropriate memories from your experience, able to recall and remember what you saw and experienced. Gently and comfortably returning to the present day and time. 3, taking your time coming back to the present, getting your body moving again as you ground back into the moment, into the now. Getting your body moving again, feeling all of your awareness returning fully to you. 2, opening your eyes when you're ready. And 1, fully back in the present, feeling inspired and rejuvenated by the information and experiences you were shown today.
Oh, that was tremendous. Yeah, that was great. There was actually a funny bit in mine where when you said where are you in the cosmos, and the answer come back like the galaxy's like a big curve. So it's just round the bend. It's just like okay, yeah, just
Of
round.
course, just around the bend.
That was so good. Oh my God, that I really liked that. Yeah, I was just on some sort of planet, and there wasn't a lot there, and we were trying to help these people get something out the ground. They were just like, "You got to help us get this out the ground." And like we had the equipment. We were more like workers, you know.
Mm,
Like you send out for somebody to do a job. So we'd just gone there to try and get something out. I don't know what it was that we were getting out the ground, but they were like, help us get this out the ground. And there weren't a lot there. And people really
mhm.
needed that help. That was, yeah, it was great. Wow.
Fascinating.
Wow, that was so good. How'd you all get on with that? That was so good.
And yeah, just to wrap up, I mean, if there's any interest in exploring this further, or if you want to get a glimpse into this deeper, I'm more than happy to guide you through this experience. I mean, this is one of my favorite topics to explore with folks. So feel free to reach out to me. And I'll have my info. And yeah, I would love to do more of these sorts of sessions and to help folks in this way because I think it's increasingly important.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop that there, then just do the final part. But that was so good.